In April 2022, formerly esteemed corrections official Vicky White helped a prisoner, Casey White, who she was allegedly in a relationship with, escape the Lauderdale County Detention Center. Despite having the same surname, the two are not related. Their story starts in 2015 when Casey White went on a crime spree, including a home invasion, carjacking, and a police chase. This body cam footage was released by the Limestone County Sheriff's Department once they caught him.
Put the gun down, brother.
Sheriff,
Just put the gun down.
I'm gonna talk to Sheriff.
The sheriff will be here in a minute, okay?
Wait. Come from me, pack a more roll, they had a cigarette all evening.
You want a dip?
Yeah.
You want a dip? I got a dip.
I don't want to dip on a cigarette.
You just want a cigarette?
I'm gonna pack a more roll and a sun drop.
You want a sun drop?
Sheriff.
The sheriff will be here in just a minute.
Sheriff, be here just a second, man, okay?
Hey, look, don't, why? Why, Casey? The sheriff's coming. The sheriff's coming, Casey.
Don't nobody like killing herself.
Well, look.
No, wait, y'all remember
Look, just calm down for me.
that? Y'all remember when my fiance killed herself in front of me with a shotgun?
Well, look.
And I told Carrie and she fucking lied and I hate her.
Just calm down for me, brother. The sheriff will be here in just a minute, okay? All right?
Sheriff's getting off on the Tanner exit.
Hey, it looks like it. Look, calm down for me, brother. Calm down, all right? Casey, the sheriff will be here in just a minute. Can you put the gun down? Casey, put the gun down. Casey. Casey, talk to me, brother.
Who is that?
This is Deputy Foxworthy. We met a long time ago. Don't you remember?
Justin Flanagan, any Cody Loader, anybody here?
Not yet. You know me. You've met me several times, brother. Look, just put the gun down and it's no need in all this. I'm listening. I'm here. I want to talk to you.
Don't tell me this morning, they sent me right home.
Okay, well, just listen.
Don't come no closer.
Okay. I'll back up. You want me to back up a little bit? I just want to talk to you. I can't hear too good. I just want to talk to you.
One foot below.
Calm down.
I got 30.
All right?
I'm gonna make y'all shoot me.
No.
I'm tired of living.
Sheriff's here now, man. Sheriff just pulled up.
Casey, you calm down. We're going to back up a little bit, okay? 'Cause we ain't going to shoot you.
Yeah, y'all are.
No,
No,
Sheriff
no.
wants to talk to you.
I'm doing something, but I'm gonna make it. I ain't gonna-
Lieutenant Shane Hunter from Giles County, Tennessee, described the events that night.
Obviously, he transferred over into Tennessee from the crime spree there in Alabama, came to a rest stop here in Tennessee where he had approached the truck driver, tried to apprehend and actually make that truck driver drive the vehicle. And his own words were that law enforcement would not be looking for me in an 18-wheeler. Once he realized that that person was not going to provide that vehicle very easily, he moved on to the next person, which would have been a female. She's seen him approach with a gun in his hand. She locked the door and then attempted to flee from him, and that's when he began to open fire upon her. He then left the area and then continued north on I-65, where then he carjacked a vehicle. Once inside that vehicle, he proceeded back on I-65 south, where he entered back into Limestone County, where a pursuit began with Limestone County, and then ultimately he wrecked the vehicle, and then ultimately got out of the vehicle, and obviously he had requested Sheriff Blakely to come to the scene, which ultimately happened. Obviously there's a lot of intense moments, and in fact, in Casey's own words, when I interviewed him that particular night, his intentions were to make law enforcement kill him.
The lieutenant also sat down with Casey afterward for an interview.
And obviously, Casey admitted to his mental issues that he had, and obviously his addiction to drugs. And the two, when mixed together, obviously Casey is extremely volatile. That particular night, obviously, he'd been off his medication for a lengthy period of time and had introduced meth. So when those two together, obviously Casey became a very dangerous person that particular evening.
Former Limestone County Sheriff Mike Blakely made that arrest. After Casey escaped prison, The former sheriff told the news station WHNT News 19 that he'd known the convict since Casey was a little boy.
I got there just a few minutes afterwards, and of course, it was like a standoff. Everybody was there with the AR-15s, and Casey standing out in the middle of the roadway with 2 Glock 40 caliber pistols, one stuck to each side of his head, and talking about killing himself. And when I got to trying to talk to him, he wanted me to call his mama and tell her he loved her, and I kept trying to talk Casey into surrendering and telling him nothing was going to happen. He said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to make y'all kill me," which could have been a very, very bad scene, but I put him in my truck and brought him back up to the jail, where he stayed there for a couple of years before actually getting sentenced and being sent to the penitentiary.
A year later, he was indicted on 15 counts and later convicted on 7 of those counts in 2019. Among them, attempted murder and robbery. Casey was sentenced to serve 75 years in prison. At the beginning of 2020, while Casey was serving out his sentence at the William E. Donaldson Correction Facility in Jefferson County, Alabama, he allegedly confessed to the 2015 stabbing death of 58-year-old Connie Ridgway in Lauderdale County. During an interview at the prison, he gave information that matched certain evidence at the scene of the crime that had not yet been released. Ridgway was found dead in her home at the Meadowland Apartments on Prince Drive in Rogersville after a neighbor requested a welfare check. She had been stabbed to death. Her son, Austin Williams, also spoke to the media following Casey's escape. In an interview with News Nation on the Banfield show, he said he learned of the situation after the district attorney called him to let him know before the news broke.
Yeah, I was quite angry. Like, how in the world is this possible? We waited and waited for 5 years and struggled to get during a cold case, and he had confessed, and we had him. And then all of a sudden he's gone. He's not just gone by his own power. Someone actually helped him escape. That's just even more shocking. It's just unbelievable.
His message to Casey White was simple.
Yeah, I would say give yourself up, because we're going to find you. Everybody knows who you are and what you've done. So you need to give yourself up as soon as possible while there's still time and there's still hope.
Austin Williams said he feared for his life while the convict was roaming free. Casey pled not guilty by reason of insanity and was awaiting trial for this when he escaped. While at the Lauderdale County Detention Center, he came into contact with Vicky White, who was working as the Assistant Director of Corrections. Authorities learned that Casey White had planned to escape the jail and take a hostage at one stage. Lauderdale County Sheriff Rick Singleton said, "We shook him down, and we did find a shank in his possession. A shank is a prison knife, and we retrieved that. We immediately had him shipped back to the Department of Corrections." Meanwhile, Vicky White was married to Tommy White for around 5 years before they divorced in 2006. Despite splitting, the couple remained friends until his death from complications related to Parkinson's disease back in January 2022 at the age of 62. Tommy's mother, 88-year-old Frances, said she had known Vicky almost all the prison guard's life, back when she went by the name of Vicky Sue Davis and was growing up in the tight-knit community of Lauderdale County, Alabama. Frances said the two women grew very close when Vicky and Tommy got married. They stayed that way even after the divorce, which the mother said was a result of her son's issues with alcohol and drug addiction. In an interview, Frances said she was really a nice person. She didn't talk about nobody. She was really helpful to everyone. The 88-year-old added that if her son was still alive, he would also not have believed his ex-wife was capable of doing something like this. While researching this story, I found an article from 2014 that may link Tommy and his brother David Wayne White to charges of second-degree assault. An article by WAFF published on June 26, 2014 reads, "Two brothers face assault charges after Lauderdale County deputies said they assaulted first responders. It happened at home on County Road 167. Investigators said medical responders were called to the home to assist a woman. When they arrived, the woman's adult sons were fighting with each other. When they tried to break up the fight, the brothers turned on the responders, and the deputies were called to the scene." David Wayne White and his brother Thomas Edward White were charged with second-degree assault. Although a link is proving hard to verify, Vicky started working at the Lauderdale facility in 2006, the same year she filed for divorce. And given the reasons for the separation, it is not impossible that the brothers engaged in the conflict while under the influence. All in all, Vicky lived a somewhat normal life following her divorce, thriving in her job. She was voted Employee of the Year numerous times. Fast forward to February 2022, 38-year-old Casey was taken back to the Lauderdale Detention Center for further court hearings in the murder case. This was when he and 56-year-old Vicky formed a special relationship. The sheriff said the woman gave the inmate extra food and special privileges. It was soon after her ex-husband passed away, which still has some theorizing that she was in a vulnerable state. In fact, when the news broke that the escape had happened, Frances White told a publication that her ex-daughter-in-law must have been brainwashed. As mentioned, the widow, with no children, was considered an exemplary employee at the detention facility. Then, in the weeks leading up to the incident, she announced her sudden plans for retirement on April 29th. None of the retirement fund paperwork had yet been processed. On April 18th, Vicky sold her home for $95,550. According to the U.S. Sun, the property went up for auction on February 16th with an opening bid of $25,000. It sold 8 days later for $91,000. After taxes and other fees were added on, the final sale price was listed as $95,550. According to Shane Albright, the realtor who sold the unit, the various reports suggesting that Vicky hastily sold the property for less than half of its market value are inaccurate. County records list the total parcel value of the property at $235,600. Albright told the U.S. Sun, quote, "Some have reported that she sold the home really cheap, but the property sold at market value for what it being a 30-plus-year-old double-wide." Vicky moved in with her mother, Pat Davis, who lives next door 5 weeks before the escape. The mother and daughter would have dinner together every night after the corrections officer finished work. Frances White said her former daughter-in-law had spent years saving money. She told the Daily Beast she had money before she sold her home. She saved her money. I figure if she still got her money, she's still got enough to live on for a while. Lauderdale District Attorney Chris Connolly would also later describe Vicky as frugal. The employee additionally took money out from multiple banks, went shopping for men's clothes at a local department store, shopped in an adult store, and purchased an orange 2007 Ford Edge vehicle, allegedly using a false name. 10 days from the sale of her home, the 56-year-old spent the night at a Quality Inn hotel in Florence, Alabama. She positioned the new vehicle in a parking lot about 10 minutes from the detention center. Friday, April 29, 2022, Day 1. The next morning, at about 9:30 a.m., Vicky White told another deputy that she'd planned to take Casey White to a mental health evaluation in court and then would seek medical attention because she wasn't feeling well. In fact, there was no evaluation or hearing scheduled that day. Surveillance video shows Vicky leading Casey White wearing an orange jumpsuit and shackles into a patrol car and driving away. The pair leave alone, despite jail policy that says 2 deputies always accompany inmates. Florence City Council member Bill Griffin was out shooting a commercial for his council district and waved at Vicky White as she drove past him with Casey White. She drove the patrol car from the detention center to a nearby shopping center parking lot and left it there, swapping it out for the Ford Edge. The patrol car was later found abandoned in the parking lot about an hour and a half later by someone on a lunch break. This raised the alarm for the woman's safety, so officers at the jail tried to reach her, but her phone kept going straight to voicemail. Soon after, they realized Casey White had not returned. That same day, Jackie Adams came across the pair's abandoned getaway car. DailyMail.com interviewed the 41-year-old bus driver.
29th, I was on my way in from one of my part-time jobs. Saw a vehicle at the stop sign just parked. We know all of our neighbors, so we know it wasn't their car. And I immediately called Williamson County Sheriff's Department and they sent someone out. I drive a bus and I wouldn't have been able to get my bus back in our road. So that's why I thought, it's a suspicious car. I'm not going to be able to get home tonight. So I went ahead and called the sheriff's department to have it towed.
Since the vehicle was not hidden, it's presumed they encountered a maintenance problem. The car, which contains White's jail radio, handcuffs, and keys, was towed later that day by Robert Kimes, who was unaware of its origin. Sheriffs were still unaware of the vehicle's connection to the manhunt. The Ford Edge was taken to a local tow lot in Tennessee. Finally, around 3:30 p.m., officials realized Vicky and Casey White were missing. The Lauderdale County Sheriff's Office put out an alert just before 6 p.m. Sunday, May 1st, 2022, Day 3. The U.S. Marshal Service offered up to $10,000 for information leading to the capture of Casey White. Vicky White was described as missing and endangered. It was still widely believed that the corrections officer was taken against her will while transporting the prisoner. Monday, May 2nd, 2022, Day 4. A warrant was issued for Vicky White, charging her with permitting or facilitating an escape in the first degree. Video footage captured Vicky White driving the patrol car straight from the detention center to the parking lot, making no stops in between, indicating there was planning involved. Vicky White's mother, Pat Davis, spoke to WAAY-TV, pleading for her daughter to come home. She also said she had never heard of Casey White or seen a picture of him.
As a mother, I didn't know how to act, because I thought at first it was a mistake, and then when I found out for sure it was just a disbelief. I lay in there at night, and you can't get it off your mind. And then when you wake up, if you do fall asleep, that's the first thing that you think of. If you got a kid and she's out there, it's just like, she's in danger. We don't know if she was took by force or she was voluntarily in this. But we just want her back. That's all we want. She's never done any, I doubt she's ever even had a speeding ticket. But I mean, she's always been what I'd say a good person. And like I say, this is all a shock.
The interview took place over the weekend before it surfaced that Vicky was seemingly involved in the escape plan. Davis said nobody noticed anything different in the days leading up either. Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022, Day 5. The Marshal Service released images of the orange Ford Edge that the fugitives were last seen driving, along with descriptions of the pair. Casey White was described as 6'9", about 330 pounds, and Vicky White was described as 5'5" and about 145 pounds. The Marshals then added a $5,000 reward for information leading to Vicky White's capture. The public was cautioned not to approach them, as the subjects should be considered dangerous and may be armed with an AR-15 rifle and shotgun. Meanwhile, Casey and Vicky White drove a Ford F-150 to a car wash about 175 miles north of Williamson County, Tennessee, their last known location, to Evansville, Indiana, and left the vehicle on the premises. According to authorities, they switched into a Cadillac vehicle and drove away. Wednesday, May 4th, 2022, Day 6. On May 4th, local police were called to the car wash about the abandoned Ford F-150. The vehicle was towed away from the premises. Car wash owner James Stinson knew that the images of Casey White matched those that he saw on his CCTV footage and persevered in trying to report it. The truck's Tennessee tag stuck out to Stinson, so he decided to alert authorities. In an interview on the Banfield show, the witness recounted finding the vehicle.
I was really nervous because with the Tennessee plates, and I already heard that the SUV was abandoned in Tennessee, and I kind of slowly walked up to the truck and kind of glanced over, thinking somebody could be in it, maybe asleep, would raise up, or passed out, or even dead. Nobody was in the truck. So I opened the door, the keys are in the ignition. I started the truck started fine, so I knew there wasn't nothing wrong with the vehicle to it being abandoned. That's when I went back and looked at my cameras and I seen his tattoo on his arm. I pulled a video up on my cell phone of him down in Alabama and the tattoos matched.
The responding policeman said he couldn't do anything about it, since it wasn't reported stolen. In an interview with Good Morning America on May 4th, Sheriff Rick Singleton said he initially hoped that Vicky was not in on the plans, but they later realized the two were romantically involved.
We know they had a relationship. He was in our facility back in 2020 for his arraignment on the charges he's facing now. He was returned to the Department of Corrections, and we know that they maintained contact while he was in the Department of Corrections up to and including until he was returned here February 25th of this year.
The sheriff knew Vicky for 7 years, and like many others, had only good things to say. At the end of the interview, he had this message for her.
My message would be, Vicky, you've been in this business for 17 years. You've seen this scenario play out more than once, and you know how it always ends. Go ahead and end it now. Get the phone, call 911, turn yourself in, and help us get Casey White back behind bars, because you know that's where he's going to eventually end up.
The Lauderdale County Sheriff's Office also announced that Vicky White was no longer employed. Thursday, May 5th, 2022, Day 7. By the next day, the search intensified. The U.S. Marshal Service released images of Casey White's distinctive tattoos, some of which are affiliated with the Alabama-based white supremacist prison gang Southern Brotherhood. A tattoo on his back depicts a Confederate flag with the words Southern Pride, and a tattoo on his chest depicts a shield emblazoned with the letters SB, a Nazi swastika, and the letters SS in the lightning bolt style of the infamous Nazi paramilitary group. The service additionally released further images of the orange Ford Edge the fugitives were believed to be driving, noting the damage to the left rear, which the Tennessee tow truck driver recognized as a car he towed nearly a week earlier. He texted his boss at about 9:30 p.m., and his boss alerted the Williamson County Sheriff's Office of the possible connection. At about 11 p.m., U.S. Marshals found the Ford Edge in the tow lot and confirmed it was the one used by the couple. Parts of the vehicle, including the damaged left rear, appeared to be spray-painted. With no new leads by Day 8, another warrant for Vicky White's arrest was issued, accusing her of second-degree forgery and identity theft for her alleged use of an alias to purchase the Ford Edge. Friday, May 7th, 2022, Day 9. With the breakthrough in authorities' search after finding the impounded vehicle was Vicky's, a force of U.S. Marshals, Williamson County Sheriff's officers, and SWAT members circled back to Jackie Adams' property, a week after she had reported the vehicle. In the same DailyMail.com interview, she spoke about finding out who the car belonged to and the events that followed.
I was dropping my daughter off at school, and I started getting all the messages about the craziness going on in the area, and then it dawned on me that it was the car that I had reported the 29th. And then about 10 o'clock yesterday morning, U.S. Marshals, county sheriffs searching the property, which obviously we were grateful for that to make sure that there was nothing here. But, it was pretty intense yesterday. There were drones, there were helicopters. I would hope that the people aren't here, but I hope that they catch them soon, whether it's here or somewhere else, so everybody can sleep peacefully now. It's just eerie that they were here. We have kids. Our kids come out and play. We like to trust that our kids are safe in our yards, but now we can't trust that.
News Nation aired a special episode relating to the story that evening, where journalist Brian Enton interviewed various people about Vicky White. Lauderdale District Attorney Chris Connolly said,
"Solid was my word for her. So when this happened, it was such a shock. But she was not a big talker, is not a big talker, but got things done. You say this unbelievable, this didn't happen, and then you get to the point where I am now, which I'm mad."
A former inmate who just bonded out said she was not surprised that the corrections officer could get the prisoner out so easily because it's chaos here. However, the woman said that she would never expect Vicky to do anything like that.
I never thought that she would, break any kind of rules like that. She was the person you could go to if you were having problems with any kind of COs or anything like that.
Monday, May 9th, 2022. Day 11. Authorities released the car wash surveillance video showing the suspects leaving the Ford F-150 and getting into a Cadillac vehicle. An Evansville police officer then spotted the vehicle at a Motel 41 and alerted other investigators. The fugitives had been staying at the accommodation in an attempt to lay low for a while and had paid for a 14-day stay. They had paid a local homeless person to rent the room for them. When leaving the motel, authorities say the duo would wear wigs and different disguises. Investigators began surveillance of the motel and observed Vicky and Casey White exiting the building and getting into the Cadillac. Police began to pursue the vehicle, and the fugitives fled north on U.S. Highway 41. In the pursuit, Casey and Vicky White drove onto a grassy field and parking lot near Anchor Industries. A law enforcement officer rammed the vehicle into the car, flipping it onto its side in a ditch. Moments before taking her own life, Vicky White made this 911 call. Some believe that their vehicle automatically placed the call on collision, but that is yet to be proven.
911. Hello?
Airbags are going off. Let's get out. Run. Get us back to the hotel.
Hello?
Once officers reached the duo in the car, they took Casey White into custody and found Vicky White with a gunshot wound to the head, which investigators believe to be self-inflicted. In this body cam footage, an officer is kneeling down with his weapon pointed at Vicky, who was still armed.
Anything?
No, she's good.
Okay.
She's still got it in her hand. I don't know.
Got the gun in her hand?
Yeah, she's got a gun.
All right, watch it.
You want this window gone?
Hey. Let's go ahead and pop this front windshield. She's got the gun in her hand.
She's still breathing. I see chest rising.
Okay.
Right here, got it.
All right, go.
She's back. Back up. Yes, she's still breathing.
Would it be better if we try to pull the vehicle back? Would it be safer? Let the fire guys stabilize. That's what they do.
Need any iPad?
After struggling to gain access to the crashed vehicle, they managed to break in.
You got me? I'm gonna go for the gun first. Okay, I'm gonna go for the gun. All right. I'm gonna grab it. Let me a little bit. All right, pull me out. All right, I got it. All right. Scene safe. Hear me pull her out? Yeah. Somebody pull me.
Vicky White died in a hospital that night from her injuries. The Indiana coroner's office ruled her death a suicide. Although some believe that Casey was the one who shot her, one officer's account on the scene also indicated that Vicky White shot herself after the car came to a stop and Casey White appeared to have had his hands out of the window at the moment she pulled the trigger. During his arrest, Casey White referred to Vicky White as his wife, although they were not believed to be married. He said he did not shoot her. Once captured, Casey immediately went back to denying his involvement in the murder of Connie Ridgway. Investigators found 4 handguns, a semi-automatic rifle, 3 magazines, wigs, and about $29,000 cash in the vehicle. In a lengthy conversation with investigators, Casey White said they had planned to have a shootout with police. The aftermath. On May 10th, Casey White appeared in court virtually from the Vandenberg County Jail and waived his extradition hearing, saying he wanted to go back to Alabama. He was taken back to the Lauderdale County Courthouse for an arraignment on an added charge of escape in the first degree. Immediately after the hearing, White exited the courthouse and glanced at the news cameras and the crowd of bystanders who had gathered but didn't say anything. White was then transferred to the William E. Donaldson Correctional Facility in Bessemer, Alabama, the same prison he had been staying at the start of 2022. On May 14th, hundreds gathered at Vicky White's funeral, Friends, family members, and several Lauderdale County Sheriff's Department employees were there, excluding Sheriff Rick Singleton. The Lauderdale County District Attorney's Office posted, "Rest in peace, Vicky White. I chose not to judge her on the worst decision she ever made in her life." Following the escape and manhunt, the 2008 death of Casey White's ex-girlfriend has been reopened by the Limestone County Sheriff's Department. Officials said the 31-year-old Christy Shelton died by shotgun, but at the time her death was ruled a suicide. Her family says that they never believed that story. The couple was inside an Alabama home belonging to Casey's mother. Shelton's daughter, Summer Mitchell, posted these videos on social media.
So, Casey White was with my mom the night that she committed suicide. Nothing was really ever investigated. I don't even know if they took him in for questioning. So maybe this video will fall in the right hands of someone that can actually make a difference.
Her brother, Tyler Rowland, said, "In our hearts, we believe that she didn't do that to herself. We need closure on that because we've never gotten it." Meanwhile, in the days following the dramatic end of the manhunt, there has been a widespread movement for car wash owner James Stinson to receive the reward money. The $25,000 has not been given to anyone at the time of this video, despite over 10,000 signatures pushing officials to do so. Stinson told numerous media outlets that he doesn't believe he is a hero and isn't concerned about the money, saying he was just doing the right thing. Watch this episode next if you found this story interesting. Until then, please like and subscribe if you want to support my channel.